Even in these times of retracement, even in the times of suck, we'll call it, where prices have been down for a while, where we've seen a retracement since the early part of December for ADA and pretty much everything else across the crypto space, you can't help but be bullish for where things are headed. Even as we've seen this ugly week here for ADA and crypto in general, we've still made some pretty big steps forward in terms of ADA. So a few big ticket items that we do in fact need to talk about. But I also want to show you guys that we're still just following structure. We looked at this just a few days ago, I believe it was. And what we notice is ADA is following exactly what it was doing in November of 2020, last market cycle. This dip right here that we're seeing is par for the course. All right. We are following this almost to perfection. And, could that mean that we're about to get a pretty significant pump over the next month or so here? Well, maybe, right? But there is some consistency to what we're seeing in the crypto market. And some people might disagree, and that's fine. And what I want people to understand is I don't do these videos for you to necessarily agree with me. I'm getting information out there. I think it's kind of funny because I have this small group of haters that just continue to watch the videos and actually just just consistently dislike my videos, and they don't realize that dislikes are actually good for the algorithm too. Just saying. So appreciate the support nonetheless. But what we're doing right now is we're seeing just accumulation and hoarding across the crypto market. And I'll get to this more in just a moment here, but a few things that we didn't get to talk about. We had important retests around the crypto space. Total market cap of crypto, important retest, nice bounce. Total 2, important retest, nice bounce. Total 3, important retest, nice bounce. USDT dominance, all right? Inverse head and shoulders retest at that 4.95% level, bounce to the downside, right? These are all very important things structurally that may or may not have needed to take place, but we're following it essentially to perfection. And unless we get some more surprises, that might actually be kind of a little bit of a pivot there. So we'll see how that progresses. But what we're seeing today is a lot of similar things to what we've seen on some of these past dips, right? Accumulation, strategy upsizes its STRD raise from 250 million to 1 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Metaplanet announces to raise $5.4 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Plans on holding 210,000 BTC by 2027. So what we're seeing is these dips are lessening, and they're having less impact. One, because the amount of retail that are willing to capitulate and dump is shrinking by the day. And two, you have bigger and bigger players coming into the space that are just buying all the crap up. And that's how it works, right? It's not really a surprising thing. But what I will say gives me a lot of confidence in ADA and Cardano moving forward here is just some of this big stuff that hasn't necessarily impacted the charts in the way that people wanted, but is a big thing long term. First of all, I have to say, Binance US has reopened ADA trading for US-based customers following the dismissal of the SEC lawsuit against Binance itself. So this is something that has been suspended since all the way back in, June of 2023. So we're talking 2 years of not being listed on one of the largest traded exchanges here in the US, right? We're still not on Gemini right now. That's another discussion for a different day. But accessibility to ADA is only growing on the centralized exchange side and on the DEX side, because remember, we're going to multiple blockchains. All right. You have to remember huge interoperability with BTC now. We're also talking about, remember, there is going to be wrapped ADA that is headed to the base network. They actually just made an announcement yesterday that wrapped Doge and wrapped XRP are now available on base. So you're seeing ADA actually become more accessible over time. This is a pretty big deal. We're also seeing big things on the development standpoint. ADA is now interoperable with Unreal Engine 4 and 5 through a newly released plugin. So you are now actually able to see huge gaming development take place within the Cardano ecosystem. So you have to really think about some of these huge steps that have happened. All right. We've seen big advancements in AI in Cardano. We're seeing big advancements in terms of real world asset tokenization in Cardano, gaming, right? Meme coins obviously have been present for a while, not in a huge way, but growing. In fact, again, like we mentioned, snek was the first Cardano native asset to get listed on Kraken. That was a very exciting sign. So you're seeing some of these just huge steps forward that people I think are missing, and they don't realize the type of impact this can have long term. Now, what is interesting here is China's most advanced AI model, DeepSeek, forecast that ADA could experience a 10x increase by the end of 2025, potentially reaching $7. And I know some people are super bearish and don't think that's going to happen. And that's okay. It's okay to have a different opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. And like I said earlier, you don't have to agree with what I'm saying. I'm just bringing you guys the information so you can make an assessment for yourself. If you think it's only going to stop at $2 and you think there's going to be better performers in the space, move on and get something else. That's fine. Guys, you have to understand that me personally, my portfolio is very diverse. ADA happens to be one of my largest holdings, and that's because it's done pretty well in this market cycle, and I'm very excited about what's being built, but it's not my only holding. I own tons of other blockchains in the space. I own assets that are very involved in AI, ones that are very involved with real world asset tokenization. I own meme coins as well. And that I think is very important for these early cycles in crypto, is to be very diverse until we see what the huge trend is going to be. All right. And I think Cardano is one of those blockchains that has the ability to do well in all these different areas. It's a very diverse chain. And I think right now we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what Cardano can do. You know, we've talked about it being tested out in big ways. Just think about when those tests turn into long-term consistent use, long-term consistent integrations. All right. That's where Cardano can really take some huge steps forward. That's where ADA can really make some big jumps in price, I believe. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. I appreciate it as always. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.